For those fans who are eagerly and impatiently awaiting the new Fantastic Four MCU reboot film, like myself, great news for you today, as the director Matt Shakman has offered us a really great update. And if you've been worried that the MCU might not get the new Fantastic Four movie right, well, hopefully what Matt Shakman says in this interview calms you down a little bit and gives you some hope and excitement. So let's dive into this awesome and fantastic, pun intended, update about the Fantastic Four from the Fantastic Four director himself, Matt Shakman, where he talks about the future film. Also, if you're new, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news. And if you subscribe and leave a comment, you're automatically entered in our giveaway for a chance to win a PS5, an Xbox Series X, some Marvel Legends items, or some DC items. The winner gets to pick one item, and we pick one winner at the end of each month. So upcoming MCU Fantastic Four reboot film director Matt Shakman was recently on the Discourse podcast, where he was interviewed by host Mike D'Angelo. Now, he was there to talk about Monarch Legacy of Monsters, the upcoming Apple TV series, which he's an executive producer for and also directs a couple of the episodes. But of course, you cannot interview Matt Shakman right now without asking him about the Fantastic Four. And keep in mind that Matt Shakman also directed WandaVision. So the first thing that he was asked is if Matt Shakman was in talks with Marvel Studios about doing anything else between WandaVision and the Fantastic Four. And he said, no, it's just about Fantastic Four. Yeah, I love that comic. I certainly let them know that I love that comic. I think John Watts was on it for a while, and he would have done a fantastic job, but he moved on, and I was thrilled that I was able to jump into the director's chair on it and take his place. So of course, for those who didn't know, John Watts, who directed Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man Homecoming, the entire trilogy, John Watts was originally supposed to direct the Fantastic Four film, and Marvel Studios had announced this. However, he kind of needed a break from superhero films, and that's understandable. He did direct the 3 MCU Spider-Man films. And of course, we all know how big Spider-Man No Way Home was, and especially with all the leaks and everything going down, one can see how he would need a break. So Marvel Studios asked Matt Shakman, and it sounds like they asked him because he was such a big fan of the Fantastic Four and knows the comic stories, which is great because we know Kevin Feige is putting a lot of love into this and they need a director who is going to do the same. And he goes on to talk about the cast. Now, he doesn't reveal it here, but it definitely sounds like he has already picked the cast. Him and Feige have decided who they want to play Marvel's first family. And it sounds like they really did take their time and made sure the casting was perfect. Here's what he said. I'm thrilled that people are as passionate about these characters as I am. The fact that there is so much debate, I love it. I have been thinking about who should play these characters before I had the job to direct the movie. And I understand why everybody would be thinking in the same way. Chemistry is super important. It's Marvel's first family. I have to get it right. I have to get that chemistry right. And then he said, as far as a casting announcement is concerned, he said it's not going to be immediately when the SAG strike has been resolved, but we'll be able to share some news at some point, and I hope people are as excited about this cast as I am. So it definitely sounds like right there, like the cast really is locked in, confirmed, done deal. They have decided who they want. Those actors have agreed, probably just verbally right now, but then after the SAG strike ends, they can officially get back to business. Cross the T's, dot the I's, and sign official contracts to lock in that cast, and then they could announce it. And this is why he's probably saying it's not going to come immediately when the strike ends. Like as soon as they announce the strike is officially over, then they come out and announce the cast. They probably can't do that because they need to sign the official contracts once the strike is over. So hopefully once the strike ends, we'll get to know who the official cast is, maybe a couple of weeks or a few weeks after. And here's where some fans can be put a little bit at ease, because a lot of people have been wondering, with all of the changes going on over at Marvel Studios right now, all of the firings they've been doing and script changes and complete scrapping of shows and starting over from the beginning. We're talking about Daredevil Born Again. With all of that going on, some fans might have been wondering how the Fantastic Four is doing. However, Matt Shakman confirms that despite all of that going on, the Fantastic Four is doing great. When asked if Marvel's recent troubles have had an effect on the development of the Fantastic Four, he responded with, "It hasn't." We'll break down exactly what he said, but first, big thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Many of you probably know by now that I personally use HelloFresh a lot because for me, it simply makes sense. I have a pretty busy schedule in my day-to-day life, and HelloFresh just makes eating good meals a lot easier for me. With over 40 different recipes that I could choose from each week, HelloFresh does all the shopping and meal planning for you. Ingredients arrive at your doorstep, pre-portioned and ready to cook, along with pictured step-by-step recipe cards. They literally make it as easy as it possibly could be. The meals are very quick to make, and they do include some 15-minute meals as well. It takes the hassle out of mealtime, but it also can save you money. HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout. That means less stress of worrying about what you're going to eat, and you save money. So if interested, go to hellofresh.com/50cosmic and use code 50cosmic for 50% off plus free shipping. That's hellofresh.com/50cosmic and use code 50cosmic for 50% off plus free shipping. So again, when asked if all of the complications over at Marvel Studios have affected the Fantastic Four, he responded with, "It hasn't." He then went on to say, "I mean, we've been on our process consistently. I've been on the project for a little over a year and working away hard at it, the way we'd work on any film at Marvel, and certainly the way we worked on WandaVision, which is starting with, what is the story we want to tell? What is the theme of the story? Why are we telling this story? And just developing then the best possible version of that story. And how do we want to bring these characters to life? So, in terms of outside influence or conversations, it hasn't really been a factor. It's always high stakes. You always have to get it right." So that's great to know. With everything happening over at Marvel Studios right now, all of the changes that they are making, none of that is happening or affecting the development of the Fantastic Four. But then Matt Shakman went on to talk about the story and how it's going to be pretty original, and they're not just going to take a story from the comics and adapt it, but rather just get influence from the comics and make their own story. He said in the interview, "The idea that I've loved so much about Marvel is that we're not just going to take a run that exists and translate it to film. We're going to do what every great run has done, which is stand on the shoulders of what came before, but then think about how we as artists living in this moment, processing what we're all processing, what story do we want to tell right now that feels true to us as people? And that is informed, though, by everything that's come before." So it sounds like what they're going to do is kind of just have all of the information about all of the Fantastic Four stories that there's been, get inspiration from that, but also get inspiration from the previous Fantastic Four films that we've seen. Hopefully just the really good parts, not the really bad parts and the bad movie, but put all of that together and talk about how they could create a great story that would fit in the MCU right now. And another really cool thing is that he says he consults with Matt Fraction a lot. Matt Fraction, of course, has written many Fantastic Four stories, so the fact that he is bouncing ideas off of one of the comic writers for the Fantastic Four is simply amazing as well. Overall, it sounds like they are treating the Fantastic Four movie with a lot of passion and a lot of care, making sure that they truly get this movie right. So hopefully this video makes you feel better. If you had some concerns about whether all of the changes at Marvel Studios that are happening right now were affecting the Fantastic Four, hopefully your mind is at ease now. And if you were wondering if they were going to be super passionate about this, hopefully this answered it for you and makes you feel more calm. So let us know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, of course. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.